Keeping Track of the Federal Fence. January 4, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. We must always remember which foot we are standing on, and which side of the federal fence we are standing on, too. From the perspective of the foreign state of state franchises, we are residents or other temporary inhabitants of their jurisdiction when we enter either the state of blank or the state of blank by such acts as entering their courts or administrative offices, as well as when we formally enter United States Territorial or Municipal United States jurisdiction by, for example, living on an Air Force base or taking political asylum in a consulate office. From the municipal government perspective, we are even one step more removed from them and are considered to be non-resident aliens, true foreigners. From our perspective, they are all residents and inhabitants, too, when they enter our jurisdiction for more than a visit, because they are living among us temporarily as residents or inhabitants while providing essential government services. So, it is always a question of who is calling who a resident or an inhabitant at any given moment, and also, what capacity we are acting in, and in which jurisdiction. Am a resident if I go to Washington, D.C., and rent an apartment there? You bet I am. I am then a guest there, just as they are guests when they venture into my jurisdiction. Are federal employees and their state-of-state franchise employees who are in my state providing governmental services also residents in my jurisdiction when they take up jobs and live here? Yes. The same kind of parallel universe exists with respect to voters versus electors. By pretending that we are federal citizens of one stripe or the other, they contrive to control and regulate us and claim that we are either 1. Employees of the corporations, 2. Elected or appointed officials of the corporations, or 3. Dependents of the corporations. They interpret voters as being persons operating in one of these capacities and having a right to give their proxy as shareholders in the corporation to one or more corporate officials up for election. This is a very different kind of election than any public election that we, Americans, are heir to, and even though they appear to be quite similar, they are not. One is a private corporate shareholder election involving voters who often belong to political parties and who choose their CEOs and board members and fill other corporation offices by voting. These are rough and woolly affairs like beauty pageants, and in recent years they have used electronic voting machines to tally votes, which is strictly forbidden in American public elections. Our public elections don't involve political parties and we don't vote. We act as electors to elect people from among our population of state citizens to fill our public offices. As Americans have not been made aware of the falsification of their political status records and have been encouraged to assume that the corporate elections are their elections, fewer and fewer people and candidates have been available to fill our public offices, but that doesn't mean that we and our public offices have ever ceased to exist. All attempts made by our territorial and municipal subcontractors to give away our state offices and laws to the United Nations, see the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act and the International Organizations Immunity Act, are the most spurious kind of fraud and just another example of our erstwhile employees trading upon assets that are not theirs to give, define, or dispose of. All such deals are fraudulent by nature, null and void from inception. Bottom line, do we have any right or interest in participating in the elections of foreign corporations operated by our subcontractors? No. Do we have control of their contracts with us? Yes. If they do things that displease us, or disserve us, or are in violation of their contracts, can we enforce their contracts? Yes, so long as we are operating in our own properly constituted capacity as state citizens, the actual parties to the constitutions. They have a right to organize their businesses however they see fit, and so do we. If they want to operate as corporations for any lawful purpose, we have no grounds or reason to object, so long as they faithfully perform the duties we require of them and take no action adverse to our well-being. They can do all the silly things they do and waste all the money they waste on their flim-flam political elections, as long as they are spending their own money. It's no skin off of our noses. And not our business. We are perfectly competent to trudge along and do our duties and fill our offices and count our old-fashioned paper ballots, and tell the federal citizens of both stripes what to do, as our employees. And we conduct our own no-nonsense elections among ourselves by holding simple public meetings, taking candidate nominations, holding our elections and fulfilling our functions. That's no skin off of their nose, either. The problem is that over the years, there have been fewer and fewer people recorded as American state citizens. People simply weren't told and didn't understand how they were being mischaracterized and impersonated, so they were acting as voters and as federal citizens, without having a clue what that meant or what it cost them. Most were not even aware that they were doing anything wrong or improper or contrary to their own best interest. They were in fact solicited and defrauded by the foreign government services corporations acting in breach of trust. So, here we are. The employers. The state citizens. The parties to the constitutions. And here is our Federation of States, gearing up and getting ready at long last to finish the reconstruction of our long-lost Confederation of States of States. Please note, our Federation can do everything that the Confederation ever did, and a whole lot more. Please also note that it's our business how we operate, just as it is our subcontractors' business how they operate. We are, after all, the employers. And they are not. Instead of being deceived into acting in a second-class and, I might add, foreign citizenship status, and trying year after year to control foreign corporate elections so as to get someone who will do a good job for the country, it makes much more sense to simply take up your own responsibilities as an American state citizen, conduct your own elections, and then tell whoever they elect what they are going to do. It's a straightforward matter. Declare your proper political status. Conduct your own business and your own public elections. Take back control of your property assets. And whoever they choose as their leadership and however they organize their business, you tell them what you want done and how you want it done. That, my dears, is how we solve the problem of the tail wagging the dog, and spending our days and nights worrying about what idiots our employees might elect. Simply by standing in our own lawful capacity and taking responsibility for directing our own business, we solve the problem. And we no longer have to worry about them, they have to worry about us. And the Pope, well, he may not like it, but short of breaking all the laws he has put in place for other people to obey, in public, he doesn't have any choice. And neither does his UN corporation. And neither does the United Nations. He owes what he owes to us, including peace. Help support this work by visiting www.annavonreitz.com and look for the donate button. Links to this article and more can be found in the video description box.